Okay, we're back with the first of two Excel demonstrations for Core Skills Workbook 4, which looks at error bars and box and whisker plots and various other things. We got some data here from somewhere where they'll be making yogurt, and they've taken a couple of different approaches. Sometimes they've tested the pH after 3 hours, sometimes after 2 hours, and sometimes only after 1 hour. And I've done some calculations already just to show us what they look like down here. They've worked out the mean and standard deviation, n, the number of samples, square root of n, which we'll need for the final step, which is to calculate the standard error. So we're just going to go through the formulas to use them, and they're fairly straightforward. We've covered most of these before, and then we'll do a couple of graphs. Okay, so we want the mean, so that's the average, open brackets, pull down from here. Mean I guess isn't that useful for this because obviously it's a process that's changing, but it's probably worth reiterating how to do the mean, so we'll take that in there. We just pull across to get them across, there we get them there. I'm just going to make sure everything's centered up here. Okay, right, so the next thing we want is the standard deviation, which is going to be more useful for us because that's going to be a measure of the quality of the results. So is equal to stdev. Again, we select our numbers, put in a tick, and pull down. So for 3 hours, we've got a stdev of 0.7, 0.62 for 2 hours, and 0.55 for 1 hour, indicating that on this basis, the 1 hour is giving us a better quality of data. Okay, as mentioned, we need to calculate the standard error, so we need a couple of things for that. One is n, which we count up. I guess there's only a few numbers there, but it's always better to think about how to do these using calculations. So is equal to count, pull down, there we go, so that should be 5, and pull across there, and 7 and 13. Right, so we want now to take the square root of that because we're going to put that in the formula for standard error. So this is going to be equal to SQRT. We just want the square root of that number there. Close the brackets and pull across. Right, okay. Right, so the final thing we want is the standard error, which is given by standard deviation divided by the square root of n. So that's going to be equal to standard deviation divided by the square root of n, and tick. You can obviously, if you're getting more competent with Excel, you go straight to that stage. Right, so we'll pull across in the usual way. And again, we notice that for the numbers, well, for the column where we've got the lowest number of samples, we've got the highest standard error, indicating that they aren't as good as data on the basis of this as the other two columns. Right, okay, so now we're just going to create a couple of quick graphs. Okay, so we're going to create a graph just showing the points where we've taken the samples. Basically, it's not going to tell us very much. We're going to go to recommended charts, and it's suggesting a clustered column, which is probably the one we want. You can have a look at some of the others. I don't think the line chart's any good. That's putting these two are probably a little bit more convincing, so we'll just leave it as the clustered column. So looking at that, it appears. Obviously, as usual, you would give these various chart titles and axes titles. I'm not going to do that now for time, but it's illustrating after 1 hour so many samples taken all the way through. I'm sure you can interpret that yourself. Right, so the other graph we want is a graph of the time against the standard error. So I'm just going to select these data. I'm going to hold down the control key and then select the date of a standard error. Okay, let go and go to insert. Again, recommended charts. The one we want is probably clustered column. The others may be horizontal bar chart is fine. Pie charts aren't very good, much good for anything. The rest of them aren't appropriate anyway. So we'll click on OK. Right, so we got the standard errors there. Again, you would add the various headings, the title and the axis titles. The other thing you might want to do as well in norm is just to click on there and add the data labels. So click on add data labels, and there we got the data labels in. Okay, so that completes that little video. Just a little bit of information how to do some basic, getting some indication of measures of reproducibility, standard deviation, standard error, and then just doing a little bit of graphing. Okay, thank you.